Agrawal sir, Director General of National Telecom Institute for Policy Research, Innovation and Training, Shri Raju Sinha sir, esteemed and very experienced guest speakers and participants from different units of DOT, TEC, LSAs, BSNL, MTNL, CDOT, TCIL, ITI, and other government and private institutions. Good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you in the world of virtual reality, that is Metaverse. Friends, in last 2 decades, internet has facilitated us to conduct fairly good percentage of our day-to-day transactions in online mode, be it banking transactions or purchase of groceries or applying for passport, visa or driving license or filing income tax returns. Everything has been switched over to online mode, avoiding need of physical presence. But now think of an extreme situation where in July 2022 in Los Angeles, USA, a technology firm, Storyfile, made an old lady interact with her relatives in her own funeral by creating a digital hologram avatar of the lady with the help of advanced AR, VR, and 3D imaging technologies. So friends, as the name suggests, Metaverse, meta means higher, verse indicates, refers to universe. We are moving towards a higher universe where all of us may have a digital avatar of our own in the virtual reality world, behaving in precisely the same manner in which we behave in our physical world. So effectively, first we created a world of online transactions through internet, and now we are going to create a world of virtual reality, a universe of virtual reality where we through our digital avatar we would be trying to be present as close to as we are present in physical world. Dear participants, it has always been the endeavor of NTI-PRIT to introduce new technologies and advanced technologies of telecom domain to our technocrat community by conducting webinar on contemporary and advanced technology topics on every alternate Wednesday. And in this series, today's webinar is on a futuristic topic, rather more futuristic topic, which is almost 3 to 5 years away from us, called Metaverse. I take this opportunity to welcome Honorable Member Technology, Digital Communication Commission, Shri Sanjeev Agrawal, sir, in this webinar. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing time to inaugurate this webinar. I also welcome our esteemed speakers, Dr. M. Manivannan, Professor from IIT Chennai, Mr. Arpit Sharma of Polygon, Mr. Nikhil from Amazon, and Mr. Krishna Tyagi from KPMG. I also welcome Director General of NTI-PRIT, Shri Raju Sinha sir, who has been a constant source of inspiration for all of us at NTI-PRIT for conducting quality webinars. And finally, I once again welcome all the participants in this webinar on Metaverse in the world of virtual reality. Welcome you all, dear participants. Once again, welcome you all. Thank you very much. Over to Siddharth.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the inaugural address. Thank you for welcome address. Now I invite DG and Head NTI-PRIT, Shri Raju Sinha sir, to deliver keynote address. Sir.
DG sir, आपका वो माइक ऑन कर ले सर. Mute पे, हाँ. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Siddharth. Very good morning to all of you. We assembled this forenoon in the webinar on a very contemporary topic, Metaverse opportunity for India. Respected Member Technology, Digital Communication Commission, Government of India, Shri Sanjeev Agrawal sir. We are privileged and delighted that sir has kindly acceded to our request to inaugurate the session and be part of the program. Senior officers and colleagues from DOT headquarters, LSA, institution, academia, BSNL, MTNL, enterprises, and other sources. Learned spectrum of speakers in the session, officers and colleagues from NTI PRID, ladies and gentlemen. In general, it is observed now that persons who are practicing telecom are now aware of the term Metaverse. The Metaverse, the term derived from science fiction, and it could be described as a 3D virtual space where individuals use avatars to seamlessly interact with other users in mixed virtual and physical environment as they would. As Dulcina was describing just now. The advent of Metaverse will mean a huge opportunity for telecom service providers, but it will also stress the current telecom infrastructure to breaking point and more 5G network rollout. That will be a liability and resource to be generated. Many digital giants are trying to develop tools, hardware, and infrastructure to exploit this immersive environment. They are also assuming that it will be a seamless 24/7 experience. Apart from erstwhile Facebook, who has changed its name to Meta itself, other industry giants are also looking at the Metaverse. So are the autonomous vehicle manufacturers, online healthcare service providers, gaming companies, banking and financial service providers, news and entertainment content providers, and many more. The vast amount of new softwares will also be required to create this environment, and service provider will have to move to new technology such as edge computing, which means a big shift in the current cloud-based digital infrastructure. A lot of new hardware in the form of smartphones, headset, smart glasses, virtual reality gloves, etc., would also be required and will be invented. The key to all this happening, however, is the telecom infrastructure. The transition of this digital ecosystem to Metaverse will push the data use by 20 times by 2032. And the telecom operators must be suitably placed to benefit from this surge. Telecom service providers will have to cope up with the exponential increase in low latency data, since the Metaverse will not work in terms of user experience unless it can be seamless and also accessed while mobile. For the Indian telecom ecosystem, the Metaverse will mean a huge jump. Alongside all the digital companies working to get Metaverse, telecom service provider will have to define their Metaverse strategies, build their teams, develop the new skills required, and explore partnership to support the Metaverse. We all face pandemic, but the pandemic accelerated the need to be connected virtually across the globe. Immersive internet is the next stage in the evolution of video call with the rise of Metaverse. This is from today's Times of India article. Over the next few years, it will become more tangible and conversational and transition to more of an enterprise tool. Leading Indian firms are announcing the development of the Metaverse. To ensure that this new technology offers a stable and safe environment, new regulation will be necessary. The European Union Digital Market Act, in one attempt to create such more regulation, but national regulator around the world, including our country, will have to evolve their own version of regulation. Standalone and partners offering are available already in the environment with high fixed broadband penetration and 5G networks. Among the digital giants, Facebook has announced Horizon Workrooms, a social network VR experience powered by Oculus headset for users to work and socialize using Avatara. We all know that Airtel has shown to us Kapil Dev Work 25 runs in this environment only. The semiconductor giant NVIDIA is building its own metaverse, dubbed the Omniverse, allowing users to work and create collaboratively in a shared virtual environment. India fixed broadband penetration is expected to increase to 12.6% by 24-25. This may not be enough. 5G rollout as well as telecom service provider have to develop coherent strategies for the metaverse. India's top telecom service providers will be partnering with Silicon Valley-based deep tech startups and other leaders in metaverse globally. The metaverse represents a $1 trillion opportunity for telecom service provider and other players in the digital ecosystem. This will require a combination of clever strategizing, deep investment, and sensible policy making to be fully realized. India is looking ahead in terms of 5G adoption to speed up things to catch up with the rest of the world. So more about, as the subject goes in today's webinar, about the opportunity in India in line with the innovations globally, we'll be listening and deliberating in today's webinar. I congratulate DDG ICT Atul Sinha and his team, including Siddharth at NTI, who have deeply gone through and organized the sessions with such a good learned speaker spectrum with on the subject. I once again welcome you all in today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this inspiring address and setting the premise of the webinar. Now I invite Member T DCC Shri Sanjeev Agrawal, sir, to give inaugural address and announce the webinar open. Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning to all our participants, Team NTI, eminent speakers, colleagues and friends. At the outset, I would like to congratulate NTI for organizing this very important webinar on Metaverse opportunity for India. As we all know, technology is very fast developing and it is developing really very fast. There is a renewed interest in cybernetics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and much discussed decentralized blockchain model. We are at a special point in time whereby many forms of digital high-tech are being developed. We have started deploying 5G networks in a big way. The 5G networks, as their own important features, they have enhanced mobile broadband, ultra-reliable low latency, and massive machine-type communication. These are the features of 5G, which is enabling the virtuality of Metaverse to become a reality. The Metaverse is a digital reality that combines aspects of social media, online gaming, augmented reality, virtual reality, and allow its user to interact virtually. Augmented reality overlays visual elements, sound, other sensory inputs into the real world setting to enhance the user experience. The Metaverse is like having a dream which is one is able to create and control. Before, the dreams were random and uncontrollable. Now people can be immersed in the Metaverse and escape from reality, which adds an extra layer of attraction to the Metaverse. As a first mover, gaming industry is already into the Metaverse, like development of games like Fortnite. They are a gaming environment where individuals have avatars. They hang out with each other, talk, and go to concerts. There is a whole virtual economy. In a way, these gaming environments are early versions of Metaverse. In Metaverse, people may socialize and virtually experience things without being physically exposed. It saves travel time, allows people with a disability to witness accentuated experiences. It would be a virtual simulation of the real world that will be used to give special training to individual simultaneously saving resources, etc. The concept of doing work online from home has become prevalent during the pandemic, which we have seen in last few years. The use of Metaverse will enable the employees to work together in a virtual environment with proper interaction among themselves. In a way, Metaverse will also be beneficial in the online system of learning. The students will be able to attend their classes while sitting in their houses and meet their friends and teachers in a virtual 3D world. These use cases comes with an issue of governance. This technology is fast maturing, still in the development phase. So we need certain standards for interoperability, standards to protect and save our citizens and children against abuses, against the virtual crime, against the addiction, so that we form such a regulatory provisions. It will be difficult, I understand, because of the technology spreading across the geographical boundaries of the nation. It will be very challenging to address the policy matters and enforce regulatory provisions. But in any case, we need to do that. Looking at the sessions we have in this webinar, which are going to cover the key aspects of Metaverse, such as introduction and opportunity for India, technologies for Metaverse and use cases of Metaverse, as well as considering the expertise of the speaker in their respective field. I am confident that participants will find this webinar very useful in not only understanding the key aspects of the Metaverse, but also in appreciating the whole ecosystem that must be enabled to trigger the development and adoption of Metaverse in various fields. Last but not the least, I would like to appreciate DG NTI Prit and his team for organizing not only this webinar, but also a series of webinars on the latest technologies, policies, etc. I hope that participants will be highly benefited with this webinar. My best wishes to all the participants and NTI Prit. With this, I declare the webinar open. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the inaugural address and setting the tone of this webinar. I heartily thank Shri Sanjeev Agrawal sir, Shri Raju Sinha sir, and Shri Atul Sinha sir for joining us in this inaugural session. Now, with permission from chair of the session, we will start with the technical sessions. Thank you, sirs. Dear participants, the first technical session on introduction of Metaverse will be taken by Shri Arpit Sharma from Polygon. Let me share the introduction slide of Arpit Sharma ji, and then I would request Arpit Sharma ji to share his screen. Shri Arpit Sharma is Vice President Global Enterprises Polygon. As Vice President, Shri Arpit Sharma leads the APAC and Middle East Enterprises business at Polygon. In Web 3.0, Arpit has worked across a wide variety of use cases such as Metaverse, supply chain, NFT, identity management, asset tokenization. He has experience of working closely with 40 plus enterprises, government and public sector clients, cutting across sectors such as logistics and transportation, fintech, edtech, among others. He is passionate about making Ethereum accessible to all. With this small introduction, I need to share his screen and start the session.
Thank you, sir, for that introduction. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me on this webinar. I think it's really interesting topic that is gaining importance by the day. Siddharth, can you just confirm that you are able to hear me clearly?
Yeah, RPG, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. So one thing that the introduction slide did not have, and I would love to share, is that I come from a government background. I worked with a railways PSU for 5 years. So I understand the processes and a lot of things that go on in implementing such disruptive technologies in government settings. I have been in this Web3 for around three and a half years now. Started in 2019 when the first POC that I created was for Ministry of Railways. It was around quality assurance certificates, etc. But we were pretty early at that time. So I think with that I will just dive into the presentation right away. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, the screen is visible, Arpit.
Okay. Yeah. So I think just give me a second, please. Yeah. So so in this session, what I will do is I will try to give. Sorry, is my screen still visible?
Yes, the screen is visible.
Cool. Okay, so in this session, I will try to give a sense of what is happening in Metaverse. So there are a lot of different areas that we can get into a lot more depth. But the idea of this session is to lay the groundwork for the sessions to come. So first thing, so the presentation here will be divided into 4 sections. So first we will cover some basics where we will go through a definition of metaverse, which will be definitely inadequate because it is a evolving concept which is changing every day. Then we will look at a technology landscape, like what kind of technologies are enabling metaverse. Then we will look into business opportunities, what are the rationale of even exploring something like metaverse, and some of the topics where a lot of action is happening. So to start with basics, so this is a definition that maybe you must have read in different sources. Like metaverse is a seamless convergence of physical and digital lives, creating a unified virtual community where people can work, play, transact, relax, and socialize. Now, this seems very complicated with a lot of.
Hello,
Yeah.
Arpit. Sorry to disturb you. Are you on the second slide?
No. I just wait.
Yeah, actually we lost the screen. Okay.
Now is
Okay.
the
Now we can see the slides moving. Right.
Yeah. So I just very briefly described the definition of metaverse. Now, if you look at this definition, there are a lot of different parts to it, like convergence of physical and digital lives, creating a virtual community, a lot of different activities in metaverse. Now I'll take a step further. If you look at metaverse as something which has been created today, that possibly would not be a right way to look at it. How I look at metaverse, it is a continuum of some developments that have taken place, right? So if you look at before advent of internet, it was all physical, like everybody was transacting physically, there were banks and all of that. Eventually internet came, and then a lot of back-end processes became technology driven, right? And then the era of mass internet adoption came, where there were a lot of consumer facing applications that were developed, including in pretty much every aspect of life, be it social networks, be it banking, be it e-commerce, etc. So there what started happening was the physical aspect of our interaction started reducing and the digital side of things started increasing, right? Even today, right? Even today, we are somewhere like we are physically interacting still through a digital medium, right? So if you look at it, we are already living a metaverse primitive for last 20-25 years. It has been evolving, growing from more physical to more digital, growing in depth with a lot more activities being added. For example, initially it was just social network, then eventually some activities where you can transact, etc. came in, right? But what is happening now and how it is different from those gaming environments that sir talked about. So we will get deeper into that. But the idea of this slide that I want to give you is that metaverse is not something new. It is a continuation of a tech evolution which started some 25-30 years back. Now we are becoming more digital. The activities are getting enriched every day. With technologies such as blockchain, we have
Hello, Arpit, I think you are on the slide showing the timeline evolution.
No. I am on what is metaverse only. Yes.
But okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
So So just have this image that metaverse is a continuity of this evolution that we have been seeing. Now coming to evolution of metaverse, per se metaverse, right? So it starts way before this. So people generally start talking about a novel that was written where this term was first used. So people start from there. But generally, if you look at it, the metaverse as we see today, where people can actually enter a virtual environment and interact, it kind of started somewhere around 2003. Like Second Life is a game which became really popular in 2003. So in this game, what happens is you create an avatar, you land in that zone. There are people from different countries. Like I have played this game a lot, and just you just talk to them. There are certain activities that you can perform. So it started from there, and then eventually, Microsoft acquired Minecraft, and then the current phase of metaverse development that we are seeing, where we have platforms such as Decentraland. It started in 2020, which was driven by technology such as blockchain. So if you look at today, like Fortnite is doing 3 billion profits a year. Decentraland was released in 2020. Today it has a whole lot of activity. There are multiple brands in Decentraland. So you can just go in Decentraland. There is let's say a pub in Decentraland which is access controlled by some of the NFTs, etc. Then Roblox is doing 39 billion in market cap in 2021. So these are not even current numbers. Like it would be higher than that. Very recently, Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard, which is going to take Microsoft to the next level in metaverse game. And in between, few people earlier also mentioned that Facebook rebranded itself to Meta, which is kind of a testament to the fact that how social interactions are going to take place in times to come. That overall viewpoint is changing as we speak. So with that evolution, I will just leapfrog now a little bit, and today these are some of the arenas where a lot of activity is happening. Like, so there is digital commerce that is prevalent in metaverse. So there is a platform called ComEarth, which is created by a startup in India. It's a startup based out of Gurgaon. They created a commerce focused metaverse where you can just go and there will be different brand stores. You can go and purchase stuff, and lead generation to actual fulfillment will happen there. Then there is a lot of activity on digital currencies, NFTs. NFTs are non-fungible tokens where you can use those collectibles, or these can be utilities that you can use within those metaverses, and these are transferable to a whole lot of metaverses depending on what kind of implementation has happened. Then there is a lot of activity happening in entertainment. So Travis Scott, he did a rock concert in a metaverse. There are regular entertainment events happening in different metaverses. From a social network point of view, a lot of activity is happening today. So now we have to look at this generation very differently. Now it's a Web3 native generation. They hang out in Roblox. They hang out on these platforms. They have their events happening there. They have their friends there. So the way people are interacting is changing. Now workplaces going on metaverse. Meta announced this, the platform for workplace. It is happening. Like for example, what we are doing tomorrow, it can be much more enriched with AR and VR headsets. Gaming, of course, is one of the areas where we are seeing a lot of activity. So these are some of the areas which I call arenas of metaverse. In all of these different axes, a lot of activities happening in metaverse. Now, quickly moving on to technology part of it, right? So in technology, there are three key enablers that I feel are very important in defining how metaverse today is being perceived and how they are going to evolve in next 5 to 10 years. So first thing is blockchain backbone. Now, and I have a slide later where we contrast Web 2 versus Web 3 metaverses, but essentially what blockchain allows, it's a fundamental change in how we look at ownership of digital assets, right? So if you look at before blockchain, there was no way that you can ever own any digital asset, truly own it. So what used to happen is that there is a central body which holds that asset for you, and they just record that this asset is being owned by this person. But tomorrow, if that entity somehow shuts, there is no actual ownership of anything, which started with blockchain. Now with blockchain, what you are able to do is you are able to truly own your asset. So it can be a cryptocurrency, it can be a gaming NFT, it can be anything. even after everything shuts down, you will still own it because that is owned without any dependence on an intermediary party. So now what has happened with that is, so if you look at internet before blockchain or before what we are calling Web3 now, it's a internet of information. It's a platform for exchange of information pretty much. But what is happening with blockchain is it is becoming an internet of value. You can actually create and you can actually exchange value. So what this is doing is for metaverse layer where there were a lot of games, etc. already present. Now it is adding a value layer to that metaverse. Now you can exchange value in that metaverse. You can create your digital products. You can buy those digital products, sell those digital products, etc. Second piece, from a technology point of view, is virtual reality and augmented reality. Now, before VR and AR headsets, now even today they are not very prevalent, but or AR not at all prevalent. But when these two things were not there, there is always this chasm between physical and digital world. So there is this device dependent that you have to, there is this laptop acts as my window to that metaverse, right? But with again this is seen as a continuum, right? So this is seen as a physical digital continuum. So with these VR and AR headsets and with these technologies evolving, what is happening is that boundary between physical and digital, it is going to be shattered, very shortly, right? So for example, I don't know, I have had experience of HoloLens, right? With HoloLens, you can project pretty much any digital thing in the physical world, which seems amazing, and it's a very different way of doing things which we have not experienced before. So the boundaries between physical and digital world are going to be changed very fast once these devices become prevalent. And with these devices, what is happening is there is the experience that people have in these metaverses, it is being enriched to a level which was unimaginable till some time back. Now coming to third piece, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, people generally, so artificial intelligence is going to be a key enabler. Why? When you talk about metaverse, so metaverse is as extensive as the universe that we live in, right? So there is no end to complexity here. Now, if we have to create metaverses at scale, right, there are multiple areas where AI will be used. But for instance, let's say if we have to create metaverse applications at scale, those metaverse applications, they should be as complex and as enriched as the real world. Now, when you do that, if we make it contingent to human intelligence to create everything from a tree to physical houses, etc., it becomes a problem which is not actually scalable. Now, AI is that technology which can enable highly scaled production of these metaverse environments, right? So that is going to be one area where AI is going to define this field. Secondly, AI is going to make it easier for people to actually interact with these metaverse experiences, right? For instance, let's say in Decentraland has multiple zones or multiple areas where you can go and explore different stuff, right? So, but this is very complicated, and there are, for instance, I may be interested in zone 1, 2, 3, 4 and not in some other zones, right? But how do I actually experience that Decentraland in its full glory, right? And something which is aligned to what my browsing preferences are, what kind of content do I like. So there will be a range of AI assistants which are going to look at my internet behavior, the type of information that I consume, and then try to personalize that metaverse experience to the user. Now, how is this going to be important? Is it may act as a home screen for your browser, right? So everything that you need, everything that makes that is of value to you will be curated by these AI assistants and be put there for you to just go and experience. So this is going to make everything highly efficient and useful from a end customer point of view. Now coming to a very fundamental question, right? So everybody, previous speakers, they also mentioned that there have been these virtual experiences. I also started with Second Life. Now, what is the difference between those earlier platforms and the platforms that we are referring today as metaverse like Decentraland, etc.? So we are calling them Web 2 platforms. Web 2 is platforms which do not utilize blockchain, and Web 3 is platforms which utilize public blockchain technology, right? So there are three buckets of differences that we see generally. From an organization point of view, the earlier platforms, they were centrally owned. So they are controlled by one entity. By that, what I mean is that one single entity, for example, let's say Electronic Arts, which runs a lot of games, they will decide what kind of environments to make, what kind of changes to make, and they are the sole owners of that particular platform. And decisions are based on adding shareholder value. So they are just run by any other business. The idea here is to create more value for the shareholders. That's it. So it's a company which is it's a company which has a digital product essentially. But in Web3, the way things are done is very different. So Web3 platforms are generally community driven through something called as DAO. DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. So what happens is, you may look at it as a community where people have some voting rights, some governance rights. So whatever happens in that metaverse platform, howsoever it evolves, it is driven by that community. So there can be voting, there can be improvement proposals that anybody can put to vote, etc. So the way here is from centrally owned to community owned. Then there are things such as native tokens or NFTs, which actually give people the right to ownership within that metaverse and right to take part in the governance of that metaverse. And decision is based on consensus generally of the DAO and the people who are participating. Now I will just pause here, and from this point I will just kind of relate to the idea of how can effective regulation take place in such a scenario where a platform is community owned, where there is no central body to actually regulate. Okay, so you can regulate maybe a Facebook, we can regulate Google, but when we have something which is community owned and that community is spread across 140 countries, then regulation becomes a very different game, and we have to think of a very different framework of effectively regulating it. So open question is, should regulators become part of such communities to actually have an effective say in evolution of these platforms? So that's an open question which has been which is being discussed by different regulators globally, a lot of places where I have interacted. Now moving on to second bucket, we have digital assets. Digital assets plays a very important role in these metaverse platforms because these are the things with which the player or the user interact. So in Web 2, these are leased within the platform. They're locked within the platform. They're created by studios and companies, and they work against an in-game virtual currency. So, for example, if I play a game, in let's say Second Life, all the assets that I have, they are within that platform only. There is no way that I can take that asset to any other game. The day that game shuts down, my assets are gone. It has happened multiple times where people actually, serious gamers, they spend a lot of money in getting a lot of assets. But if something happens to the game, then those assets are gone and that money is gone forever. On the other hand, in Web3, all the assets, they are created as NFTs. Most of the assets are created as NFTs, and NFTs are transferable. And you can even take a NFT and sell it on an open marketplace. People can transfer their NFTs through open marketplaces, etc. These NFTs and these assets, they can be community created as well as they can be created by studios. And generally, you use widely traded cryptocurrencies and tokens to purchase or sell these digital assets. So digital assets is the second biggest differentiating factor in Web 2 versus Web 3 metaverses. In terms of revenue, this is probably one of the things which is going to create a lot of difference, because in Web 2, the platform earns the most revenue out of it, and the studios get some part. So basically what happens is the studio creates the game, the platform hosts that game. Now platform keeps a share and the studios or the developers get a share, right? So that's how it happens on the revenue side. But in Web3, what happens is creators, they earn direct revenue. So there are royalties, there are perpetual royalties for people who create. So essentially, what ends up happening here is that users get a better deal. There is total disintermediation that creators earn more, which kind of leads to a virtuous cycle where more and better assets are created in game. So these are some of the differences between Web 2 and Web 3 approaches to metaverse. Now, very quickly coming to, and I'm being mindful of time, so very quickly coming to building blocks of metaverse platform. So this is a very high level functional diagram if you look at it. So there is a hardware infrastructure layer that you need. So these can be your servers, these can be your devices, endpoints, etc. Then there is a software backend, all the middleware which kind of makes that rendering, etc. happen. And maybe Nikhil will cover all of this in greater detail when he walks you through some of the stuff that he has done. Then there is something called as world primitives and rules. So these are some of, so for example, if I were to create a parallel between metaverse and let's say the universe, these world primitives and rules would be something like physics, rule of gravity, how things actually react to different stimuli in that environment, right? So generally for metaverse, these primitives can be identity, mechanics, will people fly, will people walk, etc., and programmability, like what kind of programmability and interaction will be possible in that metaverse. So these primitives are needed as a background for any other activity to happen in a metaverse. Then we have a very rich layer of in-world assets. Now these assets can be physical and digital assets where we have space, objects, avatars. Then we have economic assets, we have currencies, financial instruments, etc. Then we have content, media, data assets, etc. Now these are, for example, when you go on Decentraland, you can actually buy few pixels of land there because it is being sold as a digital asset. Then there are objects, for example, you can buy shoes, you can buy jackets, hats, etc. for your avatar. Then we have in-game currency, for example, Decentraland has mana, etc. So there are financial instruments which people build on that, derivatives and all of that. Then we have end user hardware and end user software. So in hardware, we can have devices like Oculus, we can have devices like HoloLens, etc. So all of these things constitute what we call a metaverse platform. Now, this can be as open and as restrictive as we want it to be. The sense in which Web3 metaverses are going, it's to create a connected. So metaverse essentially is not going to be one world. It is going to be a network of multiple metaverses or multiple virtual environments. So that's where things are expected to go. Now shifting gears from technology, just looking at some of the business opportunities. So first of all, we will definitely look at some potential indicators. Why, how does it make sense even to talk about this from a business point of view? So if you look at it, on Roblox, 60 billion messages are sent daily. What that means is that there is huge social interaction already happening in such platforms. This is not something which may happen or may not happen. It is already happening. For example, $54 billion is spent annually on virtual goods, which is double the amount spent on music. This number is mind-boggling because we have always felt that music is much more mainstream than this. But even though it's a niche market, it is huge and it is growing very fast. GDP of Second Life was 650 million in 2021 with 80 million which was paid to users. And this 80 million out of 650 million, this ratio would be much more in case of decentralized metaverses such as Decentraland, where creators actually get paid directly. There are multiple studies, multiple research reports that indicate that 25% of people will spend at least an hour in metaverse by 2026. And I truly feel that this number is really not accurate. I think it's going to be much bigger number than this by 2026. There are enterprise companies which are coming in heavily. For example, Flipkart in India, they launched a metaverse experience called Flipverse just few weeks back. Then Bangalore Airport entered into metaverse. Then here Warner Music is entering into a lot of partnerships with Sandbox. There are Nike, and all of these big brands, they are already entering metaverses through one way or the other. Like their vehicles can be different. They can create their own metaverse experience, or they can partner with metaverses. But pretty much every Fortune 500 company in consumer space, they are trying to get into metaverse now. In order to understand deeper, like what is the business rationale for doing something like this? So there are six things which stand out. So first of all, it improves user engagement, right? So today, for example, let's take an example of a bank. Now today, experience with bank is very detached. Earlier, there used to be a branch where people used to go. There used to be real customer relationships, but today it's all detached, and that's why people switch their banks, etc. And not so much banks, but a lot of these service providers very frequently, because there is no real relationship that is there. Now with something like metaverse, that user engagement can be improved like really quickly. Similarly, they can have consumer experience which can be enriched. For instance, let's say a retail client, like something like Myntra or Flipkart today, where you just look at your screen and then decide in that 6 by that small screen, 6-inch screen, that how this product will look, etc. To taking it to totally a VR or a AR kind of experience, where you can have that glasses and then you can actually see that dress on you. So I think that that consumer experience enrichment is going to happen very quickly, specifically for consumer-driven brands. Then third piece, which is very interesting and not a lot of people are realizing, that it will open up a completely new area where you can create virtual products which have not been in existence till now. For example, Nike and Artifact, they have created immense business out of just creating these virtual sneakers, virtual jackets, etc. So these virtual products are going to be, and and a lot of people ask, like, what is the use of having these virtual products, because this is something in computer and in this platform, etc. But we have to understand here that underlying consumer behavior is changing, and at the end of the day, everything that we do, it's a way of social signaling, right? So similar is the case here. Like you have virtual, so when you spend 30% of your time in a virtual social environment, then you would definitely buy things which are important for social signaling in that virtual environment, which is done by these virtual products. Fourth piece here is to work towards opportunities in hardware and applications which will actually enhance this metaverse activities. Then you can get a lot of new insights on your customers' virtual behavior. Now, today this is just my internet behavior that we are seeing, but when it comes to metaverse, then a lot of behaviors will merge. So I am socially interacting there. I am doing I am buying stuff there. I am playing some games there. So all of that just merges to create a more comprehensive view or a 360-degree view of that customer. So I think those insights and data points are going to be really interesting for companies to see. And then finally, the metaverse, the core concept of metaverse, it transcends all the national boundaries. So there are not going to be any boundaries, not specifically. So there can be an argument that websites can also do that, but idea here is that the cryptocurrency layer, which enables that seamless transaction of value, adds a lot of meat to this sixth point. Now, in terms of some opportunities that we are seeing in short term, and I think which will be very interesting for startups in India to see, entertainment and e-commerce is going to be huge. So in terms of entertainment, there can be a lot of events that can be created. I know startups which are specifically working on becoming event management companies within metaverse. Then e-commerce. So I already spoke about commerce. Then there are Flipkarts, Flipverse, etc., and other companies which are creating e-commerce experiences. Then there are ad agencies in metaverses which are going to aggregate all the ad space and sell it to different businesses there. So entertainment and e-com is going to be huge opportunity. Hardware, specifically in case of India, right? So if you look at it, mass adoption of internet happened when mobile devices, they become ubiquitous, right? So similarly, what will happen is, and the hypothesis that I have is that maybe a VR headset will not be a personal device, but a device which will be owned by a household, maybe, or two devices in a household. So it will happen once those hardware devices become cheap or become affordable for masses. So today, for example, Oculus would be somewhere around 30 to 40,000 rupees. HoloLens even more. But I think once that price point comes down to a range of, let's say, 20,000, 15,000, then the mass adoption of metaverse will happen very quickly, and this is going to happen very soon. Then in terms of software, there are a lot of companies which are working on how can we integrate different metaverses closely. How can you make these assets transferable from one environment to other? Then there are opportunities in creating these environments, on design side, on tech side, etc. So primarily these three areas will have huge opportunities for businesses in time to come. Now, in future, 4 areas which are pretty broad. In these 4 areas, a lot of activity is going to happen in terms of technology. Technology will cover pretty much everything from your hardware devices to telecom infrastructure to end user software and hardware devices. A lot of activity will happen there in commercial infrastructure. Now, idea is when it becomes mainstream, like what will be the implications on enterprises, what kind of infra will they need to maintain. Identity is going to be a defining factor in times to come, because digital environments, so it has always been a concern that in digital environment, what's the guarantee that somebody who's posing to be somebody is actually that person, right? So that identity piece is to be solved, not only from metaverse point of view, but also to ensure that there is close alignment between the metaverse experiences that we are creating and, let's say, something like regulatory challenges that will be there for the countries in such a scenario. So identity is going to be very interesting. So a lot of activities happening on zero knowledge, SSID identity side. Polygon is doing a lot of work there as well. Then finally, AI assistants. AI assistants are going to be path breaking, fundamental to mass adoption here, because if there are thousands and thousands of these metaverse experiences, then you would definitely need a practical way to navigate through them and to extract value out of them rather than just roaming around here and there. So AI assistants, a lot of work needs to go there. So I think with this, I will just conclude my presentation here. Happy to take any questions here or later, depending on how Siddharth wants to run it. Thank you.
Thank you, Arpit. Thank you for this beautiful session. Actually, we will take the question and answer session at the end of the webinar. Meanwhile, the participant may post their question in the chat and we will take up at the end. Thank you. Thank you, RPG. Now moving ahead with the session, I invite Professor M. Manivannan from IIT Chennai to take session on technologies for Metaverse. I will share the brief introduction of sir and then we'll start. Just a minute. Yeah. So Professor M. Manivannan sir is a professor of biomedical engineering in IIT Madras, Department of Applied Mechanics. He received postdoctoral training at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge and National Institute of Standards and Technology, Maryland. He was a visiting scientist at the Massachusetts General Hospital of Harvard Medical School in Boston and a visiting faculty in the Christian Medical College, CMC Vellore. In 2005, Dr. Manivannan has set up the first touch lab in India at IIT Madras, which is also known as Haptic Lab. He holds PhD and ME degrees from the Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore. Sir, I request you to share your presentation.
Thank you, Siddharth, for the brief introduction. Thank you, dignitaries and the speakers and participants. Thanks for the opportunities, and I'm very glad that such a workshop being conducted, webinar is being conducted. The previous speaker has spoken well on the technology. So let me see. Screenshot, yes. I'm trying to share the screen. Yes.
Yes, sir, your screen is visible now.
Okay, all right. So let me see this. Yes. Is this fine?
Yes, sir. The
Okay.
first slide is okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
So since previous speaker talked about the technologies overall view, what I'm going to focus is in the next couple of minutes on what is missing probably now in the previous lecture problem, and now what is possible for India. And I'm going to give you a view that India is going to be a grand metaverse corridor in the next 20 years. So can we dream about making India as a metaverse corridor in the next 20 years? And what are the roadmaps needed? And what is the groundwork we have to do in the next 20 years to make this happen? And why do we need this metaverse corridor at all? So this is what I'm going to talk about in the next 20 minutes or so. So there are several technologies, founding technologies, which is building up this metaverse. So this AI, ML, blockchain, 5G, IoT, all this is all now specific technologies, individual technologies that is needed for now metaverse. But there is this AR VR technology, which is horizontal to all these technologies. If you take each of this AI, ML, blockchain, and others as a vertical of metaverse, then AR VR is going to be a horizontal. Why do we say it's a horizontal? Because it is going to uh, work with each of this technology independently, and then add value to each of these technologies. And AR VR can alone survive and contribute to the metaverse, and then give a AR immersive experience and things like this. As same time with each of these technologies, it can add a lot of value to it. Therefore, I'm going to focus on AR VR in the next couple of minutes and forgetting about the other technologies. I'm going to see how AR VR with each of these technologies are also going to um, enhance the value of our metaverse. Right? Sorry. So AR VR in general we call it as a XR, AR, VR, MR, and haptics all together. I call it as a XR. It has a lot of promises. Okay, but what is ground reality? It is far from now what is promised. What are the challenges? We are actually teaching our students in IIT Madras as for the past 7 years on AR, VR. We are running courses and we are showing them the challenges. We are addressing these challenges. We will see some of the challenges. What are the realities as of now today? The whole metaverse is about experience of being in a place, experience of doing some certain things, right? Can we measure experience? By the way, why do we need to measure the experience? Why not we, just whatever, people are, building metaverses. There are many metaverses already been built, right? So why not we start using it? Sorry, we should not get into using this metaverses. We have to understand what the metaverse is, and to understand this, we have to measure the experience. Is there a science of metaverse? Is there a why do we need a science of metaverse? If you want a technology for metaverse, if you want India to develop a technology for metaverse, you have to understand the science of metaverse. If you want to understand the science of metaverse, you need to start with the measurement. Measuring what? Measuring the experience. Because the whole metaverse is about the experience. Right? If you want to measure the experience, then we have to measure the perception. We have to measure the sensation. We have to measure the manipulation. We have to start very, very fundamentally. Unfortunately, globally also, nobody is talking about this fundamentals of the metaverse. Everybody wants to talk about this, the technology platform, forgetting about the engineering of the metaverse, forgetting about the science of the metaverse, and therefore forgetting about the measurement of the metaverse. The measurement is the basic fundamentals. Measurement is basic of any science, not just the metaverse. You start the physics, starts with the measurements. You start, anything else, chemistry, measurements. Measurement is the bread and butter of any solid science. No measurement, no solid science. So what are we here measuring? Measuring the experience, measuring the human perception. I teach a course called the Psychophysics in the IIT Madras. It's a very unique course in India where we measure the mental events. The events are going on in your mind that can be measured, right? And that is how we measure the human perceptions. We find out physical laws to relate the stimulus to the mental events going on in the mind. So that focus on the our XR study in IIT Madras is not on the hardware, not on the software, not on the technology at all. We are focusing on the understanding the human perception, understanding what this metaverse is about, understanding the experience is about. Yes, we have the best of the technologies in India, but we are not jumping into using it. We are getting on to the basic fundamental of it so that we have a good grasp of what metaverse is about. That's our human perception. Because the entire metaverse is designed for the human. If you don't understand the human, how will we build a technology? We will be ever using others' technologies coming from other countries. We'll be always followers. We will not be able to develop any technology in India at all. Right? So that is why we are emphasizing on the understanding and the human perception, which is a fundamental. So in our last couple of years of now effort, we have come up with a new engineering called perceptual engineering, perceptual algebra with our collaborators. Right? This is new engineering which talks about the human perception, which is necessary for the metaverse. What is our stake on this? I'm going to give an example of what this engineering, perceptual engineering, has done to us, right? So, in our view, because of this perceptual engineering, we consider the entire XR on as two pillars. One is the immersion and the interaction. Right? So the entire research in XR, AR, VR, globally also, people are talking about the immersion, but not the interaction. Interaction is as equally important as immersion. Unfortunately, interaction is not being given now importance because probably now immersion is still not solved. Without the interaction, the entire XR experience is going to be now very, very limited. This interaction is nothing but haptics. Haptics is a science of touch. Science of interaction is what I call it as. Even a simple head movement in a metaverse is an interaction. And this is nothing but a haptics. Because you need to use your muscles, you need to know where you're turning to, which position you are turning to. You are using the kinesthesia. That is nothing but the haptic science come into picture. You're not just rotating your hands. You're not just rotating your head. You're gazing. You're gesturing. You're using your hands, eyes, legs, entire body. Right? So everything has to be tracked, and therefore interactions is very important. Without any of these things, the metaverse experience is going to be very, very uninteresting. Right? This is what we call it as a haptics. Right? So this science of haptics, we have run a laboratory called Science of Haptics, which is again a very unique lab in India still now, which is focusing on the science of our touch sensation and therefore developing technologies. And we are promoting touch as basis of all other senses, including the vision. The vision cannot function properly without the sense of touch. Right? This is our paper which we presented. We talked about the movies, talkies. Tomorrow there is going to be feelies, where the movie theater we can actually touch and feel the experiences, the metaverse experiences. Right? This is going to be the metaverse. Right? The touch lab, which is there from 2005, and the focus is actually on medical simulators. And recently it has been promoted to be a center. We call it as a experiential technology innovation center, which is a unique center in virtual reality and haptics in India. Again, the focus of the research is the human perception. What is that we have achieved? You all know Apple phone. Apple phone has a very short touch feedback. When you touch the virtual buttons, it gives you a very short touch feedback. This is due to one small hardware in the Apple phone. It is called a taptic engine. That taptic engine gives not only the vibration but also the slight shake. That engineering and the design and development of that hardware is done by our students from IIT Madras. And the technology is patented by Apple. Now it is in almost all the Apple. This is what I call it as a perceptual engineering. We measure the perception and then translate that into a technology and then put it in the global product. That's one good example of perceptual engineering here. And very recently, 1 month back, we have released this product called a tangible display, or I call it as an iPad. iPad, like an iPad. iPad is called the interactive touch active display. The entire laptop screen or the computer screen where you're watching this particular lecture or seminar, webinar, you can actually touch and feel the textures. Right? So we give a very small thin layer of material. You just paste it on your laptop and you start feeling the entire surface. Right? That is the tangible display. So imagine the next 2 years now in the Amazon, things will be available. Whatever things you want to buy from Amazon, you can actually touch and feel before you buy things. Right? So all your smartphones will be enabled with this technology, and you can touch and feel the images in the Amazon and buy things. That is the perceptual engineering we are talking about. This is our first haptic device. We have designed it in India. This is the whisker based sensor. We call it as a whisker, like a pixel, like a voxel. Right? It's the rat has a whisker to a sensor that is sensitive, like a whisker in the rat that has been designed, and we are adding this to the robotics and the other places where touch can be sensed very easily. And we are using this whisker to get the texture properties of the materials. For example, in Amazon, if you buy if you want to buy a cloth, then you want to feel the texture of it. That texture will be recorded by this particular whisker sensor and then uploaded in the Amazon website or any other retail website. And our iTag display, using this iTag display, you can actually touch and feel the cloth before buying it. Hand tracking is very important in a metaverse. So we have developed a hand tracking which is much better than what is actually available now, and we have found some hand tracking or the performance of hand movements which is optimum which is improving the performance of human users in the metaverse. What is the scale at which you have to move your hands? For 1 centimeter of your hand movements, how much in the metaverse should move? Should it be 1 meter or a couple of centimeters? What should be the scale? Is there an optimum scale that we have experienced, calculated, and then put it over here, right? So similarly, for the doctors, for the robotic surgery, the scale movements has to be scaled down actually. For every 1 centimeter of your hand movements, it has to be scaled down to 1 mm or 2 mm. When we scale it down, how is their performance goes? What is the throughput that we have measured it? Right? So the whole of India, even globally, we are talking about telemedicine, but only with the images and audio sounds. Can we do the telemedicine with the haptics, metaverse with the haptics, telesurgery, metaverse with the haptics? For this to happen, now the 5G network is important. The TOT, telecommunication departments, and with a 5G plan, it's needed, right? So what is the minimum delay that we can get away so that even the rural India can have this telemedicine with the haptics? That is the research we have done, right? So we can get away with about 50 milliseconds. With the 50 milliseconds, we can demonstrate the haptics. And in fact, we are working with now EarNut, Education Research Network, to demonstrate this technology. We'll be very happy to work with the DOT to take this forward as well. And we can create this touch feedback not only on the body but also the out of the body using this perceptual engineering, right? And we can create it gold standard for yoga, because the yoga is throughout the world people are learning, right? They come to India and then go and learn, and now you can teach them yoga in the metaverse, right? And but we have to ensure the movement quality in the yoga, the right procedure, not only just the movement but also the breathing procedures that can be monitored, right? So our headset, we are designing the headset where the headset we can monitor the breath as well, and then tell the user whether they are breathing it correctly when they are actually doing the movement also correctly, right? The gold standard for the yoga movements, we are setting it up. It's a big data we are generating with our now collaborators here, right? The emotional analysis in the metaverse. Can we do the emotional analysis when you are in a metaverse? How your emotions are changing? Can we monitor all your biological signals, all the physiological signals, and therefore now can we find out what is your emotions in are? This can be useful for employee behavior analysis. This can be useful for our not only new employees of a company, but also fresh recruitee also. Before even recruit them, can you do the emotion analysis of these employees? How they respond to different scenarios in a metaverse, in a XR, right? And that gives a very good idea about whether we should employ or hire this particular employees or not, right? Big data we are generating for the 360-degree image analysis. So the 360-degree is a new paradigm which is coming up, and it is going to take a pick on the metaverse. But at this 360-degree, there is no depth at all. Can we get the depth? Do we have a automated ways of finding the depth so that we can embed virtual object into the 360 images? We have just done the omni-horizon, the big data for a 360-degree images. Right. With this 360, we have created the reptile park, metaverse park, for one of the Madras crocodile park over here, where you can have an immersive crocodile park, immersive snake park in the metaverse. Idle wing gallery. Now, do we know that there are 500s of our precious idols are stolen from our temples and then smuggled to other countries throughout the world, kept it in the several museums, and our idol wing, and as a part of the Tamil Nadu police, they have collected back. And what we have done is we have scanned all those as stolen and recovered idols, precious idols, and then put it in the metaverse or our gallery, like a virtual gallery, stolen idol galleries. And anybody can go through these idols, and the tools are used are very simple. Now we want to empower every citizen with their smartphone. They can go to their temple and scan their idols and upload it in the metaverse, so that in the future nobody can steal any more idol. That is a that is a huge opportunities we are looking for. How metaverse can make it as a better place for India. That is a dream we are looking. ChatGPT in Indian languages, ChatGPT is in the news for quite some time, right? So, but how about in India? Most of our people living in India or in rural, they don't have English knowledge, right? So they have to talk in the local languages. In a metaverse, one person, they should be able to now from our rural village, they should be able to talk to somebody in Africa or some other country. So real-time speech-to-speech translation, is it possible? Yes. So we have 22 official languages, 700 plus languages in India, maybe the most languages in the world, right? In a country, right? So we are using low languages left behind model of Meta, and we are extending this NLLP model of Meta to Indian languages, right? So in the next 1 year or so, our citizens will be able to converse in multiple Indian languages and then do the real-time speech-to-speech translation. Our border security forces will be able to talk to their Chinese counterparts in Hindi and get the answers back in Hindi, not in Chinese languages, right? That will be possible with these languages. The long-term interactions will be the brain to computer interfaces, where now Elon Musk is talking about embedding all these chips, right? So that is the long-term way. We are creating our own headset with all the brain-computer interfaces. Without the chips, can we avoid anything invasive? The technology is possible in India, right? Challenges for India. While other countries can talk about metaverse, with all the fundings possible, in India we have a lot of challenges. We have to think about affordability. No other country need to worry about affordability as much we have to think about in India, because we have a limited resources. We have to, when we're talking about the affordability, we cannot compromise the quality, right? We have to keep the quality. We have to talk about the scalable, because we have the largest democracy in the world, and most of our people are working in the rural villages, right? So all these challenges we have to address it using the metaverse. Can we use the metaverse for one specific use case? For example, skilling India, which our government is now is talking about. Can we skill the India as far as the safety is concerned? Healthcare is concerned, education is concerned, defense is concerned. Yes. So to make this happen, measurement is the mantra. Without the measurement, no improvements in the skilling. So this is where metaverse can be of huge help. Nobody can imagine how much benefit it can offer to India as far as the skilling India is concerned. The digital divide between the rural and the cities can be enormously reduced using these technologies, right? So we have a few examples of what we have done in the last few years, right? So we have made virtual reality based medical simulators as with a haptics feedback, with a touch feedback. We can do the injection, a very risky procedure, risky injection procedures in the virtual reality with a touch feedback, right? So one good example is the in vitro fertilization training simulator. Every street has an IVF clinic now, unfortunately, right? But the IVF doctor, to get competent in the procedure, they damage first 50 patients. If you and I are one of the first 50 patients, now we are guinea pigs for the doctors. Unfortunately for them, there's no other way of practicing it. The technologies, metaverse technologies, VR based and haptics based technologies can reduce this damage on the patients, can reduce the damage on the citizens, and therefore the health of this. Right? This is the IVF simulators with the haptics feedback. You put on the head-mounted display, you go to the metaverse and VR and see the ultrasound images, and then go to the oozate and retrieve the oozate, insert the needle and then retrieve all the oozate, make an embryo outside, and then put it back. Entire procedure. You need to know where to apply the right force at the right time, right amount, right? That you can practice here. This is the injection simulator. This is a laparoscopic simulator with a haptics feedback. This are all done in India here, right? So affordable. So if you have to, if you have to import it, it costs 1.5 crores. Can you imagine what is the bill of materials here in Chennai? It is 5 lakhs. And this is a CPR training with a haptics feedback. This is a advanced cardiac life support. This is a neonatal resuscitation training simulator. There are other training simulators, including the safety training we can do. Now put on the head-mounted display and then take the real extinguisher, put up the virtual fire, and how well you are doing this fire safety, fire punching, we can measure it. What is the angle at which you attacked? How long you took to put up the fire? How much material did you waste? How much material did you actually use? All those things can be measured and then given feedback to the users so that they can improve much better, much faster. So as a last topic, I want to talk about this grand vision of grand vision for India. Can we make India as a metaverse corridor for the entire world? Right? So just like a IT corridor, the entire world knows India as a IT corridor in the last 20 years. Right? Can we make a similar movement for India, metaverse corridor of the entire world? For anything needed for metaverse, India should be the known place to come for, right? So that is the kind of things we wanted to take it. It means we need to have a lot of roadmap to be done. For this to happen, we have set up this XTIC, Experiential Technology Innovation Center here in IIT Madras. Similar centers will be set up. We are setting it up in several other cities and educational institutes, and each center will have these 3 departments. The experiential space is a demo center where you can walk in and then see the latest technologies, demos, and then be enthusiastic about these technologies and then see how you can use it in your business or in your applications. Right now, we have set up a demo center here in the IIT Madras Research Park. Any visitor coming to the research park, they can walk in and then see all the technologies, all the latest gadgets, all the latest demos they can actually see, including whatever I have presented, whatever we have developed here in IIT Madras, they can actually see it over here. So the next one is the VR courses, XR courses, right? Metaverse courses. Now we are running this VR courses as in the NPTEL for the last 7 years. We are teaching not only our students but also the other engineering college students as well. The manufacturing, we wanted to create or manufacture all these gadgets is in India. We are making the iPhones in Chennai. Why not all this headset in Chennai or in any other place in India, right? We are talking to Meta for manufacturing their Oculus headsets here in Chennai, and Meta is willing to look into it. We are discussing with them. So why this experience space? Is the experience space we want to set it up throughout India because the headsets or the technology is changing so fast. Not everybody can experience everything, right? So only small places, high, probably few, metro cities will have the latest gadgets. All other places will have the fundamental or minimum essential gadgets, so that all our students can get to experience all the latest technologies. Right? So to make this metaverse corridor, we have created a consortium called CAVE. Consortium effort is what we wanted to take it forward. CAVE is an acronym for Consortium for Augmented Reality and Virtual Reality Engineering. We have about 270 startups and industries exclusively working on AR/VR, and we are helping these startups employees upgrade their skills by teaching them AR/VR, and they are helping us in placing our students. This is a win-win situation for all of us. The leadership team is headed by the inventor of Oculus, Facebook, or Meta, Professor Steve Lavalley. He was here last week in our IIT campus. He is now helping us in setting up this entire metaverse corridor. On Army General, retired General, he is helping us to interface with the defense, and present IT Secretary and former IT Secretary. The first IT Secretary of Tamil Nadu is Sri Prakash Damodaran, and is actually helping us. There are pioneers of 3D and game development. Last 20, 30 years of India, leaders of game developments are with us. There are some of the companies who are now focusing on the automobile companies. They form AutoCave, using the AR/VR technologies in the automobile domain, and it is headed by, is led by mobile veteran and Tata Technologies Chief Engineer, Mr. Ravindra Shah. There are other verticals like AutoCave, EdTech is there. The NPTEL courses you all heard about in IITs. Now, every NPTEL course at the end, you'll have an immersive component, so that you can get to see the lab, get to do the experiment at the end of the theory courses. MedTech Cave, Architecture Engineering Cave, Media and Entertainment Cave, Skill Cave, entire skill ministry can make use of this metaverse technologies to empower India. Military defense cave, it needs a lot of training, military training. So metaverse technologies can be useful. Heritage and cultural. Space tech, we had just signed a MOU with ISRO for designing the space station and India space station and space vehicles, and then train the astronauts in AR/VR. So ocean tech, ocean, under the ocean also, there's a lot of utilities of these technologies. Every vertical is led by their veterans, the leaders in that particular vertical. Our main focus in IIT Madras is on our teaching courses. So we are teaching the theory as well as the practical, software as well as the hardware, and the fundamentals by the international faculties. We recently done the one course emphasizing the fundamentals. So one of the important things we have done is that at the emphasizing the fundamentals. Without the fundamentals, we will be ever using this technology developed by other countries. We want to develop our own technologies. We want to be the leader, means we need to understand the fundamentals. We taught our students how to build tools, not to use the tools. Right? Using the tools also we teach, but now how to build the tools is what we are teaching it. So these are the several companies, employees who have come and taken it, including the boards and several MNCs. We are tying with Meta for teaching the AICTC courses as for the entire India, and Tamil Nadu students, and we are going to teach 10,000 students in the next semester. This semester we are teaching 300 faculties, train the trainer program this semester. So one of the major mistakes we have done in the IT corridor in the last 20 years is that we made our Indian youngsters as a cheap labor. The IT corridor, we are all known in the whole world, but as a cheap labor. When we make this metaverse corridor in the next 20 years, we wanted to be very sure that we don't want our youngsters to be made as a cheap labor. It has to be at an international quality. They should be at par with international quality. They should get the job at the international market, not at the Indian market level. That is why we are emphasizing the fundamentals. The fundamentals what we talked about earlier. So for this to happen, extra policies and standards have to be set up. We have made the first draft to the government, and the second draft is getting ready. And Prakash Damodaran IAS, who is a retired officer, who is architect of IT policy, first IT secretary of Tamil Nadu, and is still he is our advisor, and he is helping us to form this draft. With our CAPE consortium members, we are coming with the second draft, and with Metaverse as India policy and standards also we are setting it up. Meta is helping us to take it forward. And to make this Metaverse corridor, open source development is very important. So Meta is actually helping to fund and 100 developers all over India. Meta and Fiti together, they are identifying 100 developers all over India to develop open source developments in the Metaverse. Right? The codes will be uploaded in the GitHub, and the startups and industries will be able to use it and benefit. Right? And then open hardware. We should be able to develop our own hardware. We are designing our own VR headset, AR headset, and specifically we have our own Shakti processor, and then Bharat OS. Now we are ready to develop our own headset with the emote biosensors. Things, right? Then now our defense and the ISROs and governments, they're all very happy that the things without the content is not going out. So what could be the this is my last slide. What could be the ultimate metaverse? We are talking about the technology of the metaverse. What could be the ultimate metaverse? Ultimate metaverse is something that you can feel the metaverse without any of these gadgets, without the costly gadgets, even the simple gadgets. Correct? That is going to be the ultimate metaverse. How do we use? How do we? No, is it first of all possible? Yes, it's possible in the movies, right? No, in reality also is possible. We have to understand the user. Only when we understand the user very well, then we can make this happen. Unfortunately, the modern science doesn't give a doesn't understand the user. Essentially, there is no concept of mind. It has just started now scratch the surface of the concept called mind. Whereas in India, fortunately, we have been working with the mind. We have a science of mind for many thousands of years, but unfortunately, it is all covered as a religious text. We have to look at the science of mind in India as a science. We have to do a rigorous science and on the the knowledge what we have. Then this ultimate metaverse is possible. That is why I said it is a specification of the mind. The knower, the perceiver is already with us. Only thing is we need to unravel it, remove the religious layer, and then look at this as a science. Right? So let me conclude saying that India has a huge potential to lead the world in XR, Metaverse, and in particular skill training. Metaverse corridor can pay way for it. Thank you so much. I wanted to thank our collaborators in IIT Madras and all over India and all over the world. Thank you for patient listening, and thank you for the organizers for giving an opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for introducing us to the world of haptics and its potential for more realistic experiences in Metaverse. We look forward for more interaction with you in coming time on the matters related with Metaverse. Dear participants, now next two sessions will be on use cases of Metaverse. For this, we have Shri Nikhil Velpanur from Amazon and Shri Krishna Tyagi from KPMG. I would just share the introduction slide And then,
Siddharth, I just want to take a moment. Please.
Yes, sir, please.
Professor Manivannan, first of all, let me congratulate you for leading this metaverse technology in this country. I'm so happy that we could reach to you and invite you for this webinar. I'm Atul Sinha, Deputy Director General and Department of Telecom. Sir, actually, we really did not have even an inkling that this sort of development is happening here in India, in IIT Chennai, for a very, very futuristic technology like Metaverse. In fact, we were always thinking that India is probably 10 years or 5 to 10 years away from Metaverse technology. But with your presentation, it was an eye-opener for all of us, probably for others who are participating in this webinar, that India is in a position to take a leading role in the development of Metaverse. And sir, as you rightly mentioned, that the Metaverse corridor could prove to be a game changer for our country. This technology, the way this technology is happening, I think it is going to be a game changer for this country. And sir, in Department of Telecom, we would be very, very happy working with you as far as the policy making and regulation for Metaverse domain is concerned. We will try to get in touch with you, sir, at appropriate opportunity. And I'd request you also to be helping us for preparing policies and for preparing regulations for Metaverse area. Thank you very, very much, sir, for such a wonderful, such a knowledgeable experience sharing with us. And also, once again, the congratulations from Department of Telecom, Government of India for taking this leading initiative, which I think in Metaverse domain, probably we will be almost at par with the other advanced countries working in this area. Thank you very much, sir. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you,
Over
sir.
to you.
Thank you for encouragement. We'll be very happy. I will be very happy to work with TOT and take this way forward, sir. So India should be on the focus, and for the benefit of India, we'll all have to work together and then take it forward. Thank you, sir.
That's the great spirit, sir. We appreciate. We really appreciate the spirit that you have just narrated. We all are with you, sir. We will certainly try to see that in Metaverse domain, India takes a leading role for and leads this technology globally. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Over to you, Siddharth.
Atul, if sir is going to stay with us for the program, then it's okay. It will be present if he's there. Otherwise, if there is some engagement with the professor, then few questions are there in the chat box. You can take
respected sir, are you going to be here till end, say 1:30, 1:40, or we can take questions? There are questions for you, sir. I mean, the kind of mind-opening presentation that you have given, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of questions. If you permit, we can take the questions right now in case it's not possible for you to be here with us till end.
Sure, sir. Anything is fine. I can take the questions now. I can take the questions at the end of the session, whichever you feel convenient. I'm fine.
Siddharth, should we take questions right now? Because
yes, sir. We have presentation on time, so we can spare for 5 minutes for the question session right now.
So please, because our minds are enthused with the sir's presentation. So let us take these questions right at this moment. Okay.
Yes.
You can read out the questions in the question box as DG sir has said. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Manivannan sir, there is one question that with the advent of AR, VR and the use of devices like Oculus to interact with Metaverse can cause worsening of conditions like myopia. How can this issue be tackled? Another one is to create a truly immersive environment. All human senses should be engaged in virtual world. How can the sense of smell be part of this virtual world?
Okay.
So
wait,
Siddharth, both can.
Okay. So for the first question, the the first question is about how this Oculus Quest is causing the myopia, right? So this is an inherent problem. It, inherent problem with the technology itself. The display is very close to the eyes, but our eyes have to focus on distant objects. Right? So there's an accommodation, that's a rotating of the eyes to focus on the distant object. This is causing a conflict, and therefore what people have been doing is they have come up with some guidelines. That's all can be done because it is inherent, it cannot be avoided. Only some design guidelines we can reduce this adverse effect to the human. So there are design guidelines which I'll be able to happy to share it with all of you, so that when you design metaverse, we can reduce this effect. That is the answer to the first question. The second question is this smell. Yes, so the perceptual engineering is common for all the senses, not just for vision or auditory or haptics. It's also for smell. There are now technologies coming up very recently, but only at the rudimentary level, not at the very high level. So if you enter into the hospital, you should get the hospital smell or kind of thing. Or when you enter into the hotel, looking at the menu, can you imagine? Can you smell the menu items? So that kind of technologies are coming up. Again, perceptual engineering is a fundamentals. We able to address those. Yes. Next question, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, the next question is that effect of AR VR meta on cognitive ability of human. Is it going to affect our cognitive ability?
Yes, effect of AR VR on the cognitive ability of the human. Yes, so it may have adverse effect as well as the positive effect. It depends upon how well we use. Any technology has a both the it's a double-edged sword. We can use this for either for the betterment or for the worse. If you keep playing shooting game in the metaverse, in the real life, when you come out of the metaverse, you will have the tendency of shooting somebody. So that has to be avoided. It's a social implications. And there are some studies that the people have this inclination of doing in real life whatever they have done in the metaverse as well. So we need to be extremely careful how or what kind of the use cases we are going to develop in metaverse for our youngsters. So the answer is yes, there is a definitely cognitive effects are there, but we have to channel it to the right direction. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. One more question, sir. Whether quantum computing play any role in metaverse?
Yes. So quantum computing, it will play a major role. Basically, now we need a lot of very fast computing, and quantum computing is one way of fast computing. The quantum mechanics itself, maybe we can think about the is an explanation to the metaverse. The reason Nobel Prize is on the quantum mechanics. I see a lot of relation between the quantum mechanics and the metaverse. Metaverse is nothing but an illusion, right? So quantum mechanics says that our real world itself is an illusion, and that is what our Indian philosophy also we have been keep saying. It's a Maya, 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 and that is what the quantum mechanics is actually said. And to say this, somebody has given a Nobel Prize. Can you imagine? Right. And metaverse will be an illusion in an illusion. Right? So to answer your question, yes, quantum mechanics, quantum computing, which has tremendous throughput, will be required to do a lot of computations on a headset in a real time without the delay, and we need this computing problem. Yes, it is needed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. One person, Mr. Praveen Deshmukh, I think you can open your. Yes, you can open your speaker and ask the question to sir.
Sir, already I have messaged whether quantum computing play any role in Metaverse or not.
Okay, so that is answered. Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you very much. Thank you, Manivannan sir, for taking the question and answer session simultaneously. Now we can move ahead.
Thank you.
The next two session will be focusing on the use cases of Metaverse. We have already discussed the technology behind it and the introduction part. Now we will go with the use cases. For the use cases, we have a speaker from Amazon, Shri Nikhil Valpanur and Shri Krishna Tyagi from KPMG. I'll just share their profile. And then I'll hand over the session to both the speakers. They will speak in tandem and they will showcase the work they have done for Bengaluru Metro and other use cases. So Nikhil heads Web3 for AWS Public Sector, India, South Asia, and also leads the Joint Innovation Center established by AWS, Bangalore International Airport, and Intel. He was previously part of the founding team heading partnerships, fundraising, and public policy at the Vadhavani Institute for Artificial Intelligence, a not-for-profit research lab applying AI for social good. He helped set up Garage 5B, Skunk Works, and New Ventures arm of Dr. Reddy's Laboratories Limited, investing in seed stage health tech startups. He also started Brahma 3, India's first indigenous developed 3D printer. Nikhil is a 2009 TED Fellow and angel investor and deeply passionate about the application of technology for social impact. And the next speaker, Sri Krishna Tyagi ji. He is head of Web3 at KPMG India. He has also been associated with the firm for more than 7+ years in various roles from audit to M&As. He has been in global Web3 ecosystem as builder, researcher, and advisor. He has also taken guest lectures for graduate university student on Web3 topics such as Metaverse, DeFi, crypto, token economics, NFTs, etc. He is a strong advocate of decentralized and a massive future and believes the accelerated adoption will come through enterprises and government offices. During COVID times, he had built a non-profit tech product which was backed by FP WhatsApp and presented at UNSC as case study by Will Cathart, CEO of WhatsApp. Nikhil ji and Krishna ji, you can share your presentation and start the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth, and thanks to the Department of Telecommunication for giving us an opportunity to come together and think about this subject, which is emerging as one of the largest sectors which we see, and give an opportunity for India as well to shape it up and come together and take it ahead. I'll just share my screen and then we'll just start. Let me know if my screen is visible, Siddharth.
Yes, we can see your presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll like the speakers before us, before me, Arpit and Professor Manivannan, both of them have covered the fundamentals and especially the work which is being done right now in the space around Metaverse from the research side and from a development of infra side. And like both of them, I and Nikhil also totally believe that this is our chance as a country to leapfrog the world and emerge as the leader for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And probably this is one in a lifetime opportunities for us also to be alive at a time where such innovative technology leapfrogs are happening. And like Siddharth mentioned about the belief that we have over the period of time after working with various enterprises and some of the government agencies as well, we believe that this adoption would come in a faster way if enterprise starts adopting, because that's where the capital intensive efforts can be done, along with the favorable government policies and implementation from government side. And with that motive, we started engaging with some of our customers and clients, and we started talking to them and evaluating how they can leverage these technology and what are their thoughts around it. And while studying the overall value chain of an enterprises, after speaking to close to 30-40 clients, we realized that most of them are at different stages of their journey of leveraging metaverse. And but one thing that is common across is everybody wants to start, and they do see that it's a long journey, but everybody wants to take the leap of faith and start right now. And if you see the overall use cases, that if I bucketize it into as per the value chain of an organization, and you can replace that organization with any organization, most organizations have these fronts, irrespective whether it's a government organization or a privately run organization, or even it's an institution like an education institution, right? There are new revenue operating models, which are emerging, and people want to tap into it. Like Arpit was mentioning earlier, this immersive world, then gives an opportunity for you to engage users which you cannot tap today because of the physical constraint of the world. But with new immersive worlds, anybody can experience your product sitting anywhere in the world, can interact with your product, and with the underlying faster layer of payments, which could be crypto based, and or maybe CBDC based, which is the government backed currencies. The transaction and value settlement layer is also getting ready to enable quick commerce across the world. Like, people can experience your product sitting anywhere in the world and make transactions seamlessly in a faster manner. They don't need to even experience the product physically. This thought might not be acceptable to some of us, because we as a generation and are seeing a transition from physical first world to digital first world to a metaverse first world, I would say. But imagine the kids who are coming up, the Gen Z. They are metaverse first generation. For them, this is going to be the primary medium of experiencing the product and making the transaction. Like, for many of us, online shopping has become the first way we do the commerce. Similarly, for the Gen Z which is coming up, this would be the medium which they'll prefer, this would be the medium which they will try to interact and find out and discover the products as well, right? Similarly, there are digital products which are coming up. Companies like Nike, they have developed a whole experience around their products, and there's a whole frenzy around owning those products. These are digital shoes which people are trying to own, and with the intersection around AR and VR, these shoes can be overlaid on your physical shoes and can drive status in the physical world also, right? There is customer retention and service use cases that people are trying to find out. How can you provide more loyalty use cases, NFTs based loyalty rewards to your consumers to make them more brand loyal? Can there be a possibility of establishing customer service centers which are immersive, so you don't have to leave your home? There are use cases where your products are can be explored in a DIY sort of an environment, where consumer themselves can operate by leveraging VR headsets and AI enabled tech in that. On the operations and back office side, there are the parties which are trying to see, can there be efficiency brought into the R&Ds, right? Like Professor was mentioning about haptic use cases and virtual environments. There's a large European automotive company which is leveraging, which have developed this joint R&D center for leveraging VR experiences and training their designers from across the world to come together and design better products, better cars, right? And like, it is resulting into cost saving, as well as the time to market is getting shorter. Similarly, some of the enterprises in industrial markets and the oil and natural gas sectors are also trying to leverage this tech to do joint explorations and joint studies, right? On the operations and supply chains, with coming up of connected and smart machineries, people are exploring building digital twins of their whole manufacturing setups and leverage remote technologies, VR enabled headsets to efficiently run plants from even remote locations. And trainings is one of the use case that is emerging as one of the popular one, where people are almost putting up investments right away, like how can you train your people in a better environment with more immersive mechanisms and more close to reality, so that when the situation comes, you have a workforce which is much more ready than uh, ever. People experience, like Meta has been one of the large proponent of this use case, which is the collaboration spaces and hubs, right? And how you can enable more collaboration in a new normal world setting post COVID, which all of us are seeing, like hybrid environments. But the sense of belongingness to an organization is something which is lacking around. People are exploring ways to engage people together and enable a work environment where there is a sense of belongingness. And that's why, like some of our clients are even asking for development of their own offices with workspaces and features like joint calls, joint collaboration, and avatar related engagements, presentation in a 3D environment. All those sort of things are under discussions, and some of them have even taken the leap of faith to get it developed. Learning and development and digital certificates with organizations like Instagram, Twitter. All of them have now integrated a layer of Web3, which is now you can publish your credentials on these platforms. Now organizations are evaluating, can they issue socially verifiable credentials where the users and the consumers plus their people, employees, can show what credentials they have earned across the years, right? And we are also deploying it in-house at KPMG. Finance is also a way where things are changing significantly. Asset tracking, verification. There are organizations that do physical verification of products today. It's a cumbersome process today, but with AR enabled glasses and in future VR and IoT enabled environment, this would be something which can be done faster. There are already some of the organizations which are taking exposure to these digital assets, not in India, but we are seeing that happening in Europe and US and Singapore, where people are adding these virtual assets to their balance sheet, and they're taking some of the exposure rate because they think that it's something that they want to have exposure to because of the upcoming growth that they see, right? Now, some of the monetization models, if we talk about by sector, like gaming is one of the most, largest sector that the impact of this would come and start coming sooner than any other sector that would be there. And considering India, which is hub to one of the largest, gamers in the world, we think that this is going to be a significant value creator for us as a country. Plus, from a telecommunication standpoint, also like upcoming technologies like 5G and the overall associated technologies around that is going to play a pivotal role in ensuring the adoption here. I think government is also taking significant steps towards regularizing these efforts, be it the esports industry where the regulations are coming, and the other sectors also. And I think this would emerge as one of the most popular professional industry that would come out of India, and Gen Z is going to lead this for the India. Currently, the monetization approach still remains somewhat, we can call it Web 2.5, where advertisement is also, a popular monetization model. in-game purchases are also there, but we see that eventually it's going to move towards more NFT-led ownership model, monetization model, where players can own the NFTs, rent it out, and create different assets within the gaming environment and own all of them. So it will be an economy of its own, where there will be consumers as well as the players which will make money out of it, and the platform would also make money, which is essentially going to be owned by the users, right? Roblox is key example that's working on towards this model. There are Decentraland and other decentralized gaming models are also coming across. Fashion is again the industry which is more bold, which always take first mover steps in most of the adoption curves. And here also you can see that some of the popular fashion brands are already taking bets in this industry, be it Gucci, be it Balenciaga, and some other ones in more developed nations have started developing digital first products, or a phygital sort of a product where a digital product is tied to a physical product. And most of these organizations have also started setting up the retail outlets in Metaverse. And to be honest, right now the experience is not that great because the infra is not that ready, but still the take first mover advantage enables that you have started on the journey, and whenever the time comes you would be there, right? Healthcare, like professor showed some of the key use cases that are emerging in healthcare. And I think considering a country like us where there's a the patient to doctor ratio is very skewed, I think healthcare is going to be one sector which will take us much more ahead, because we would be able to train more doctors and maybe keep them upskilled, and also some of the general techniques which probably should be known by every citizens can be widespread and taught to all of us. Industrial, we see that the current adoption is very laggard. The reason for that is most of them are trying to explore what it is, what are the regulations, because industrial mindset is to go with the regulation, which is the right approach to do, and it's still in the development space and will get more accelerated as and when the right regulations come into play. And that's why I think the government's play would come in, and there is a significant effort that would be driven by the steps taken by the government, right? So gaming, we have discussed, like there are these kind of I'll skip it because we've already discussed it. Virtual tourism, imagine today there are so many people across the world who wants to travel to India just to experience our architecture, our beauty of our historical monuments, but not everybody can come here. At some of the temples, some of the mosques that are historically very very relevant for the world history as well, but not everybody can travel here and experience them. But Metaverse can enable that. A digital twin of all our monuments can be monetized by sitting here and can generate a lot of revenue streams for our trust, our economy as a whole. Even a person sitting in US can visit it and pay to visit these monuments, and for that reason it becomes one of the most important aspect, because we as a country are very rich in architecture and monuments. We can monetize those even in a virtual space. So we see that would emerge as a good revenue generating source for us as a country, right? We've discussed these some of the novel revenue streams that are coming, but like not everything comes great with an emerging technology, and it also comes up with its own challenges, right? And some of it have started emerging right now, and it will accelerate like the technology adoption accelerate. Cyber sickness impact on we already discussed that. Some sexual harassment cases have also emerged, and these are concerning because there is nobody even thought about it. So how do we build regulations, and how do we extend IPC and other laws to in a digital first or a metaverse first world is also a critical thoughts that we need to think as a decision makers and thought leaders. IDs and avatars, right? And while the technology is all evolving, the hackers and the phishing attacks, these are also accelerating at a rapid pace. And especially because the money is also involved and all digital assets are involved, it is getting really important to ring fence it and control the attacks, etc., and educate the user as well, right? Mental health, environmental impact, all these are concerns which need to be think through, and right set of guidance, regulations, and use cases needs to build around it to accelerate the adoption for the industry as a whole. Yeah. Now the question comes, what does it mean for us? Like, how do we've listened to everything, but if we go back today and do nothing, then there's it's of no use. So I think some of the questions that each of us should ask, and everybody should come together and then start thinking about is, are we ready to like experiment and learn? And with the turnout on the call, I am damn sure that everybody wants to learn and take a leap of faith in this space and help the country to move forward. Which domain should we pick it up? Like, somebody has an expertise in marketing, someone has an expertise in governance, somebody has an expertise in technology. So I think this field offers a share of the pie for everyone, irrespective of what domain you come from. Metaverse and Web3 domain is open for anybody to contribute, and people are even discovering the new skills that they never thought they could do. Like, some of them have become community leaders, right? There's a possibility of making communities, Web3 communities. Techies are evolving their skills to become and develop the infra required for the development of these technologies. Strategists are coming up and helping out technology companies to take a leap of faith and start their journeys. Similarly, the governing councils and governance and governments are taking ahead steps to frame the right set of regulation. So we need to ask which domain we want to contribute in and start contributing. What are our capabilities in terms of upskilling ourselves? Do we need to leverage some external experts and start upskilling our technology as well as our talent? How do we partner, or should we start to build or partner with somebody who is already building it up, right? What should be the business model transformation, or how should we what should be our approach to enable that upcoming change? Now, to end this up and hand it over to Nikhil for taking all of us through the work that was done at the Bangalore Metaport, I would like to say that and end it up here, that Metaverse has an infinite potential, and especially for us as a country, as respective leaders for our respective organization, there is an immense value which will be created out there. Whether we don't take it or not, we take it or we don't take it is on us, but the value will be created. And it's an opportunity for each one of us to be part of this change that is coming and create value around it. It has relevance across the value chain of any enterprise or department. There is no department which won't be leveraging these technologies in next 15-20 years, and it will be a slow start, but eventually everything would be Metaverse Web3 first. If you are looking to start your journey, you can reach out to us, any of us, and we can start that journey and help you out as well and partner together. Now I'll hand it over to Nikhil.
Thanks.
Nikhil, are you there?
Thank you, Krishna. First of all, are you able to hear me? I just want to check.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. First of all, I want to thank the Department of Telecom for inviting me to such an august gathering. It's a true privilege to be here amongst all of you and also follow with such eminent speakers. So thank you so much for that. Also, due to some technical challenges, I was not able to present. So I had requested Krishna to run the presentation for me. So thank you for that in advance. So Krishna, we could jump directly to the third slide. Yes, perfect. I think it's very important to talk about Web3 in the context of everything we have been talking about as far as the metaverse is concerned, right? If I would really draw back to the history of, what you heard of this word Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, right? Web 1 was really about, when you could, the ability to read information on the internet that gave rise to websites. The ability to read and write that gave rise to social media, to e-commerce, your Facebook, your Instagram. That would not have been possible if you were not able to write. But today we have the ability to read, write, and also own, right, through the blockchain. And that is what gives rise to a metaverse, right? So keeping this historical development in mind, I think it's very important for us to really explore, what are the use cases of a metaverse. My context in speaking about this whole topic is to really bring a builder's perspective to this, right? While the other eminent speakers have given such a wonderful, bigger picture, and we've really looked at it from every possible angle, for whether it is from fashion, or it is travel and transportation, or it is government services. There is really an opportunity for us to start now digging deep and actually exploring what does it take to really build a metaverse, right? So can we go to the next slide? Yeah, we can actually skip this. A lot has been talked about this. Perfect. So thanks. So I wanted to come to, if you were to build a metaverse today, right? What are the elements that you will need to actually look at, right? You can think of this as a checklist. So tomorrow, if you wanted to build a metaverse, this is the checklist that you may want to look at, right? The first part of the checklist is really about persistence, right? A metaverse is not just something that is virtual, right? That could end up becoming a 3D game, right? There are enough people playing around in 3D environments today, but then are those metaverses? Not really. The possibility is to really bring persistence, where you have a hybrid experience, where you have a physical and a digital experience, and they both kind of blend seamlessly together, right? Which is why the work of people like Professor Manivannan is so important, because you actually bring together haptics into this. You actually bleed the physical infrastructure and the digital infrastructure, and you give it a completely phygital infrastructure, right? So persistence is a very important element of the metaverse. The second element of a metaverse is really a decentralized commerce, right? You need to have a fully functioning economy inside. If you are able to transact, if you are able to buy and sell digital assets, that's when it really does become a metaverse. The other one is about interoperability. It's not enough to say that I just have my own metaverse and my own walled garden, and just going to be building things over there and not prevent people from taking value out of that walled garden. It needs to be interoperable. That is a very key element of the metaverse. The fourth element of a metaverse is really a self-sovereign identity and an avatar. What happens over here is really when you are able to own your identity, right? Which is why we call it self-sovereign. Through the blockchain, when you have your own identity, then you can transport yourself across different metaverses. You can go to an airport metaverse, you can go to a shopping mall metaverse, you could go to a retail or a travel metaverse, and your identity will end up being the same across all of them, right? So that is really gives rise to the world of the avatars. So as your avatar gets more fleshed out, this identity becomes portable as well. The fifth element of a metaverse is really that it is community driven. I mean, why are we doing all of these things, right? We're not doing this so that one person can go and hang out in a 3D world. We're doing this because we can build community, where we can collect people of a certain interest, and we can give them information and stimulus that could actually help build communities and actually get communities to have a sense of realism and reality. The last element of a metaverse is really mixed reality. We've spoken a lot about it: augmented reality, virtual reality, haptics. All of these will actually help incorporate a completely new immersive user experience. Next slide, Krishna. Krishna. Yes, thanks. So before we go into talking about what does it take to actually build a metaverse, one of the most important decisions that you need to take while designing a metaverse is you need to look at it from the framework of high fidelity or high ownership, right? So if you look at the x-axis, right? So or let's say if you look at the y-axis, how important is ownership to you? If you don't really care about owning the metaverse, and you are okay with buying a plot of land in an existing metaverse, then you would score low on this parameter. And then you could go to any existing metaverse like a Decentraland or a Sandbox or even the Roblox example that Krishna just gave, and you could participate in an existing metaverse, right? But if you want a very high level of ownership, then you will have to end up building your own metaverse, which means you will need to do the heavy lifting of actually building it through a 3D game engine, actually enabling the blockchain layer under it. So you will actually have to own it, right? And on the x-axis, if you look at it, you can go really explore, do you want it to be low fidelity? Like you would have seen a lot of examples, not just Horizon workrooms, but also some of the Sandbox or the Decentraland examples, where you see it's more in low poly and it looks a bit cartoonish, it looks a bit simplistic and very pixelated and voxel environment, right? But then do you want it to be extremely high? Like, do you want it to be photorealistic, right? So over here, I have used the example of the BLR Metaport, which is what we have actually built. And I will be walking you through how we actually ended up building it and a very practical way of how we went about it. Right? Next slide, Krishna. So now let's build a metaverse, right? So using the Bangalore airport, who has been one of the most futuristic and forward-thinking organizations, the way they have thought about, can we build a metaverse that actually blends the physical and digital, and can we have digital assets on the blockchain and build an economy? You might actually end up gamifying the airport, right? You might give a completely new user experience to a passenger, right? And that feeds forward into the metaverse. So without any further ado, I would like to show a small video of the launch video that was released by the Bangalore International Airport. The privilege was that the Honorable Prime Minister launched it along with the Terminal 2 of Bangalore Airport. It happened in November last year. And since then, this has been a tremendous visibility for all of us and a huge matter of pride. So Krishna, can I request you to play the video? Thank you. There's no sound.
Let me just reshare it. Just a second.
Yeah, Krishna ji, while sharing, check the box, include computer computer sound.
Yes. It should come now. Is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Krishna. I also wanted to acknowledge Arpit, who we heard from a little earlier. It was really with the collaboration with Polygon that really made all of this possible. So Krishna, can we present the slide again? So now I would like to just conclude by actually walking through the exact, the next slide. Yeah, the exact opportunity that is possible out of this, right? You saw the video and you understand the kind of high fidelity, and you also understand that there are multiple opportunities for us to really reinvent a passenger experience over here, right? So I wanted to very sharply highlight what is the opportunity. So while you start thinking about your metaverses and what you are going to build, you can start thinking about what might be some of the opportunities for you, right? The first opportunity for the airport is really revenue. This is very obvious. They actually get to sell non-aero revenue through digital goods, right? Because at an airport today, what can you possibly buy? Apart from a duty free, you can go buy a cup of coffee, or there might be a Shoppers Stop retail over there. But here the airport through the metaverse could actually end up selling digital goods. And why this is important, because the virtual digital asset is today a new asset class. This is being taxed, and today it is the creation of a completely new economy, blessed by the Ministry of Finance. And also we have the CBDC, the e-rupee, that is also coming in by the RBI. So there's a possibility for virtual digital assets to be in play, and this is definitely a new revenue source. The other big opportunity is really to reinvent a passenger experience, right? So the passenger could actually have a new form of checking in. See, the way you check in today is that you go to a airline website, and then you have to fill up a form, and you have to type in certain details. But could you actually reinvent that? Could you reinvent terminal navigation? One of the beautiful stories that somebody who saw this video told us is, they said that, okay, now I will not be scared to send my old and aging parents to the airport, because I can walk them through the airport first and get them comfortable and familiarized, and only then I can send them to the airport. So that was a really beautiful story someone told us, right? So terminal navigation also could be reinvented. Similarly, passengers can also build a portable and interoperable 3D avatar. The Bangalore airport is the pioneer of something called the DigiYatra. So DigiYatra is a biometric boarding solution. Now, by integrating things like that, because that is also running on the blockchain, so if you could integrate that into the metaverse, that could provide a completely new possibility for you to carry your avatar from airport to airport. And of course, the 3D avatars can also give you access to a completely differentiated VIP experience. So if you are a user of the Metaport, and you are somebody who has shown your loyalty, and you own, let's say, certain non-fungible tokens or certain digital assets, maybe you could get a free access to the VIP lounge, or maybe priority boarding or something like that, right? Krishna, next slide. Yeah. Also, it's very important. The other big opportunity is that here you are truly building a hybrid channel over here, right? So through AWS has something called pixel streaming. So pixel streaming, the way it works, it's a revolutionary new technology. The way it works is that you don't need any hardware on the device side. You can stream it directly, like how you're streaming a high HD of let's say Hotstar. You're watching a cricket match, or you're watching Netflix. Here you can actually stream very high resolution 3D environments, and that is what has been leveraged over here to build a BLR Metaport. So you could create a truly seamless digital experience, right? You could also gamify the airport, right? You could have there are actually tasks and quests that we are creating at the airport. So let's say you are a upstanding citizen, and then you carry a refillable water bottle, and you refuse to buy any plastic at the airport. If you take a picture of that and you upload it onto the Metaport, we may actually give you a collectible NFT, or we might give you some digital tokens that you might be able to exchange for a cup of coffee. So you can actually gamify and incentivize passengers. And at the end of the day, an airport can really transcend a physical boundary, right? And a geo limitation. There are so many brands that would like to build much larger experiences, but who are limited by just shelf space, or by, let's say, concessionaire space. But they could really think big, and some of this could be actually delivered globally through an infinite 3D retail experience, right? Next slide, Krishna. So I would like to conclude by just sharing that, just some key observations, right, out of this whole process. One is that the metaverse is more than hype, right? It is actually a new user experience. So today, when you want to think about how can you reinvent a user experience, right, the metaverse is a perfect place to start thinking through, right? As I already covered, there's an opportunity to create a completely new line of revenue, right? Or you can reimagine things like loyalty, and you don't have to think to be limited by your geographic limitations, right? And the third big observation is that the metaverse is your 3D storefront. So the way you today, you, let's say, shop, or you look at things in an e-commerce way, or you look at things in social media, right? The metaverse can completely reimagine that entire thing. So with that, I don't know how many slides are left, Krishna. Is there one more? Yeah, I think it's a bit detailed. Let's not go into that, but I'd like to conclude over here since we're at time as well. Wish to thank you again for having me as part of this presentation, and please reach out to Krishna, me, Arpit. We would really love to help you reimagine customer journeys, passenger journeys, new lines of revenue, whatever it is. This is a very exciting space, and with all of us, we can we would love to help you out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nikhilji and Krishnaji. It was indeed an amazing presentation and demo of that airport metaverse in Bangalore was great experience into this digital world and gave us the look and feel of how metaverse will look like. Thanks a lot. Now the floor is open for question and answer session. Anyone having question, you may please raise your hand. Then I'll give you the right to speak and you can ask your question. Thank you. Meanwhile, there are some questions which can be taken by our esteemed speakers. The first question is, isn't there a concern that blockchain technology won't operate in a decentralized manner, given the power of corporations to hire miners who are vital to adding blocks to the chain? So it was yes, Arpit ji, you'd like to answer that?
Sorry, Siddharth, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Isn't there a concern that blockchain technology won't operate in a decentralized manner given the power of corporations to hire miners who are vital to adding blocks to the chain?
So, so I think this question is, I would say the concern is valid, and there have been some factual, there are some facts which kind of point to this, because if you look at Bitcoin, the miners, there is a strong concentration of miners, and then there are mining pools, etc. But having said that, I think that so first of all, I think mining is not the technology on which blockchain depends. So mining was part of proof of work consensus. Right now people are moving to proof of stakes, which has a potential to be much more decentralized than mining, because it does not depend on costly equipment, etc. So while the concern is valid, and there are some facts which point to that, but I think the overall tech from a governance point is moving towards being more decentralized. So today, if you look at Ethereum is, they now move to POS, and now like they are one of the most decentralized platforms out there. So I think with a lot of, and there are, for example, in DAOs there are efforts at improving the governance mechanisms. For example, how should we vote? So for example, if I have 10 NFTs, should I get 10 times the votes the person who owns one NFT, right? So all of these things are being improved upon as we speak. So I think in some time, I'm pretty hopeful that decentralization aspect will be much more improved, and we will have checks and balances for all of this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, RPG. There is another question: how Indian telecom service providers can make use of metaverse?
So when I say service providers, so I think for service providers, it's a huge opportunity, because if you look at it, at the end of the day, telecom service providers are the vehicles which enable these metaverse experiences to reach people, right? So eventually what will happen is that these experiences, depending on their complexity and depending on the richness of the content, they will require a lot of telecom infra, etc. So I think there is huge business opportunity on the infra side for service providers at this point. I'm not sure if that was the question. Yeah.
Siddharth, I may like to just add one point here. Sure. So for telecom service providers, if they have to construct the road contractors, and if they have built 4-lane roads till now, so metaverse would require them to build at least 12 or 16-lane road now. So they should be ready for working to provide very, very high speed bandwidth to every individual in their house. And that is the opportunity that Metaverse is going to offer to telecom service providers, I think.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, RPG. There is another question. Any KPMG or other paper? I think Krishna ji has already replied to this question. Moving ahead, is Metaverse accessible only for high-end customers? If yes, how to make it inclusive?
So I think I will take a try at this. So when we say high-end customers, by high-end customers, I suppose we mean that people who have means of buying these equipments, who have connectivity, etc. At this point, I would say it is not so much about access to technology rather than awareness, because, for example, Bangalore Metaverse experience that we saw, it is easily accessible on a laptop or any normal desktop, right? So it is not about how many devices or what kind of devices you have. In addition, there are a lot of experiences which are mobile screen friendly, and you can just watch these things on mobile. But to actually get a complete utility out of such experience, it will become important that VR and AR devices become affordable. We are seeing a strong push. So I am aware of multiple startups in India who are working on low cost VR devices as we speak. So they are working on a lot of innovative ideas. Some patents are also in the process, which will bring down the cost of VR headsets, by a good factor. So I think that will make it affordable. Yeah. So just to summarize, right now I don't think it is restricted in terms of high-end customers. People can pretty much access it. Anybody who has a internet and laptop, they can pretty much access all the experiences that are out there. Going forward, other technologies like VR and AR headsets, they will become cheaper. They will become much more affordable, making this reach even wider.
To add, just to add on this, Arpit, I think like what happened in the internet and the efforts, etc., that went through, and eventually today we are a country where the data is among the cheapest, right? And you see the same sort of efforts ongoing from large telecom players. Geo, for example, is putting a lot of efforts in releasing headsets which are affordable for a country like India, right? And we'll see the same sort of adoption curve that we saw in the internet is what we believe, and eventually you'll see that a low income country would also be able to participate in this revolution.
Thank you.
Hi,
Thank you, Krishna ji and Arpit ji.
This is Nikhil. I would like to also add to what Arpit and Krishna just said. I mean, absolutely beautiful points, right? I just want to also add that I had given the example of AWS pixel streaming, right? So all of this is really dependent on the quality of the network, right? So tomorrow with 5G available, then you will be able to stream any level of high resolution or high fidelity to absolutely any phone, right? So that is definitely possible, and that is really it's a reality that's already happening right now, right? The other thing is also that I'm going back to the point of what is called persistence, right? So when you're saying that you want to have a hybrid physical and a digital experience, it's also very possible when you look at something like an augmented reality. So let's say I walk into a physical space, let's say a railway station or an airport, or let's say a Reliance digital shop, right? Over there, if I'm able to scan a QR code, or if I'm able to open my camera and it's able to, through an AI trained model, if it's able to actually recognize something, then you could create multiple versions on top of that. You could maybe animate that, maybe you could create some interactivity over there, maybe you could get information over there in one click, right? So the idea of persistence will make sure that it's accessible to anybody with a regular mobile phone as well, while the development of all of these futuristic devices also are in place. Thank you.
And 5G is certainly going to aid this initiative, because 5G has come up and is coming in a very big way, offering a very high bandwidth on your mobile while moving also. So Metaverse kind of requirement of bandwidth would definitely be aided by 5G in this country.
Yeah, thank you, sirs. Thank you, Atul sir, for joining in the discussion and giving the insight specifically to related to telecom sectors also. Dear participants, you may raise your hand if you still have any question, or write in the chat box. So right now I am not able to see any hand raised. So I think there is one question. How and which way Metaverse is useful for Indian telecom infrastructure, small cells, or in-building solution providers?
Has been already replied how to build telecom infrastructure needed.
Yes. Yes, sir. There is one more question.
So I think Siddharth, as Sir said, it is some already discussed that for designing purposes and for training purposes, how to install these cells and how to install telecom equipments. It could be used for training purposes as such, I think.
Yes, sir.
Move on to the next question.
If there are no more hand raises, I think we have come to the end of this today's webinar session. Sir, on behalf of NTI PRIT, I would like to thank our guest speakers for engaging us in insightful and enjoyable sessions on the newer technology and term Metaverse. Thank you all dear sirs for sparing your time. Thank especially to member technology Sri Sanjeev Agarwal sir for inaugurating this webinar. I also thank DG and Head of NTA PRIT Sri Raju Sinha sir for his guidance and support in organizing this webinar. And last but not the least, thanks to all the participants from industry, academia, field units of DOT, TEC and TRAI who registered and joined today's session. Your continuous presence and engagement in all the events organized by NTA PRIT keeps us motivated to bring out more and more such events. Thank you, sirs and dear participants. Now, with permission from DG, sir, we may close the session. Sir.
Yeah, thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Atul.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll try to upload the recording in our YouTube of NTI PRIT to the participants.